Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to iGyaan. Today we're going to be unboxing, taking a first look at a highly awaited phone. It's the Redmi Note 9 Pro. So without wasting any time, let's quickly get started. So the Redmi Note 9 Pro is something that has become a year-on-year evolution. In fact, Xiaomi with the Redmi series has become the top-selling smartphone in India. Now, there's a lot going on with this phone, and on the outside, it's quite reminiscent of the Poco X2 that we checked out earlier. So if you guys are interested in checking out the Poco X2 as well, you can click on the link on the top right, go check it out. But wait till the end of the video because we have a lot to talk about, and Xiaomi or Redmi has strategically placed the Redmi Note 9 Pro in a bracket where it will not really interfere with the Poco X2. So really smart market placement for this phone. But let's talk about the device a little bit and see what it has. And Xiaomi has been kind enough to send us a newspaper with all the details, and we do have a spec sheet here as well. So we'll go through some of the specs of this phone because this is really new for us as well. So let's get into it. So in the box, it's pretty typical. You do get the phone itself. You do get this clear case, which is nice. It's a good protection out of the box right when the phone launches. You can see the quad camera setup on the phone. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Also inside the box is an 18-watt charger and a USB-C cable, and that's it. You also get a SIM ejector tool, some documentation, but that's about it. It's fairly basic, pretty much like every other Redmi device that Xiaomi will launch. Now with this, if we talk about the exterior, you look at the phone, it looks very identical to the Poco X2 with respect to design, the fingerprint sensor placement on the power button. But there are three colors here. They're called the Interstellar Black. There's this Aurora Blue, this Glacier White. So you can sort of pick between those. Personally, I would go for the Interstellar Black, which is sort of a gray, kind of reminds me of the Samsung S20. But this blue is also something that a lot of people will pick. Now, on the outside, you have Gorilla Glass 5 on the back as well as on the front. There is a P2I coating, and the ports are also coated with a special material to avoid corrosion, which again, Redmi did a couple of series back, I think with the 7. And now with the 9, it still continues because especially in India, in certain coastal areas, ports tend to corrode quite quickly because of the humidity in the air. Now, if we talk about the display, it is a 6.67-inch display with a 2400 by 1080 pixel resolution. It is a 20:9 aspect ratio, and it is an IPS display. And like I mentioned, there is Gorilla Glass 5 on the front. Now the front also has a punch hole camera directly in the center of the screen. A lot of people prefer this as opposed to the right or the left of the screen. I also personally kind of like it in the center of the screen. So on the front, you do have a 16 megapixel camera. It does have all the AI features that you would typically get from a Redmi or a Mi device. You will get that on this phone as well. Now on the bottom, you do have a 3.5mm headphone jack, a USB-C port, a microphone pinhole, and a speakerphone, which is located over here. On the right, very identical to the Poco X2, you have the power button, fingerprint sensors integrated into the power button, and then you also have the volume rocker. On the top, you have a secondary noise cancellation microphone and an IR port or an IR blaster. So if you want to control your televisions, your air conditioner, you can download the Mi Remote app, which should already be pre-installed on this, I assume. If it's not, you can easily download it from the Mi store and then control your air conditioning, your television, etc. directly from this. So it becomes like a universal remote for you. On the left is the SIM tray. There are 3 slots, dedicated micro SD card slot, dual SIM slot. So no issues with respect to whether you want a lower storage option. You can always pop in a micro SD card. It won't eat into your SIM card. Now on the back is where all the action is. So to speak, you get 4 cameras. One is a 48 megapixel, which is the main camera, is the Samsung ISOCELL GM2 camera with an f1.79 aperture, a 6-element lens. They have something called super stabilization, so it's using digital as well as optical stabilization. And it also does 4K video, but only at 30 frames per second, a little bit of a letdown, but I'll tell you why that's happening. And then you also get 960 FPS super slow-mo, something that Samsung's been doing, and this is a Samsung sensor, so you'll be easily able to do that. The other camera is an 8 megapixel ultra-wide camera, and that has a 120-degree field of view. You still continue to get the super stabilization, so a mix of digital, optical happening there. There is a 5 megapixel macro. The company talks about how a lot of people complained about the 2 megapixel macro. One of them was me. So the 5 megapixel macro becomes usable for even social media or even sharing with your friends, etc. online. 5 megapixel macro shot will be quite useful for that. And the last sensor, more or less a depth sensor. They could technically use a macro sensor as a depth sensor, so they don't really need 4 cameras, but I guess it's more symmetrical and it looks nice. So there is a dedicated depth sensor that will be activated if you're taking some portrait shots, etc. Everything else on the back is completely empty. You do have a Redmi logo in the glass as well. On the back also Gorilla Glass 5. Like I mentioned, P2I coating, no real water resistance. If you tend to drop it in a puddle or something, you can quickly remove it. It should survive, but the company doesn't want you to sort of put this in water. But because of the P2I coating, initially at least till the coating wears off, it should be good to go for a long time. Now out of the box, you get MIUI 11.0.3. But a software update should be pushed out before this phone becomes publicly available. We still have a pre-release phone over here. It is running on Android 10 out of the box, MIUI, pretty standard stuff. Lots of apps, so a little bit of bloatware here, but most of it is removable. So if you want to get rid of some of these bloat apps, you can. You do get certain Mi apps, which are now becoming more popular. Mi Pay, some radio apps, some local sort of partnerships with Xiaomi. You can get rid of those. There is still this whole thing with ads happening on the phone. I'm not pretty happy with that. I don't know why Xiaomi doesn't want to get rid of that, but you still get quite a lot of ads on the MIUI. You can turn off ad options in the beginning, but there are certain areas where you still continue to get ads. There are workarounds, but out of the box, that is going to happen. So the big difference between the Poco X2 and this phone is going to be the Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G chipset. That has the 730, this has the 720. It has an octa-core processor with 2.3 gigahertz on the speed. You also get the Adreno 618 GPU, an 8 nanometer chip. It's pretty impressive with respect to what this phone is going to be priced at, is what I'm thinking is going to be priced under the Poco X2. So the top variant of this and the base variant of the Poco X2 might clash with respect to price, but the base variant of this will be quite a ways away from the Poco X2 and hence the 720 chip. Because if you want an upgrade, you will go for the Poco X2, but if you want something cheaper, you'll go for the 720G, and that is what I think Xiaomi, Redmi, Poco are sort of planning so that they can cover the entire spectrum of the marketplace. So good positioning for this, I think, if the pricing is right. And we'll have the pricing details along with the buying links in the description below as soon as this phone is available. So click those to sort of get a chance to get this device if you're interested in buying this. Other things include a 4 gigabyte or a 6 gigabyte option along with 64 gigabyte or 128 gigabyte for storage. Like I mentioned, you can get the 4 gigabyte with 64 gigabyte of storage if you don't need the additional RAM, and then pop in a micro SD card to get some more storage. If you want the additional RAM, 6 gigabyte with 128, and then you can pop in some more micro SD storage if that's something that you need. The cameras at first glance seem really interesting. The camera UI is what you would see from Xiaomi typically. There is an AI camera mode along with some new filters. There's also a pro color option in the camera app. The 48 megapixel shot uses the ISOCELL technology from Samsung, so you're not really getting a true 48 megapixel, but it's more like a 12 megapixel with quad pixels sort of pushed in together to make a larger pixel. So all of this will sort of add into experience that you will get now at a price which sort of matches the previous Redmi phones. So this is going to be a good placement for the phone, and with some of the other competitors out there, this would be a good position for Xiaomi to be at. Now we'll be testing this device in depth, and we'll have a review out for you guys by the time this video goes out. So we'll have the video out shortly. So you'll see the full review. But if you do have any particular questions or queries about the Redmi Note 9 Pro, and if you'd like us to test out something, do let us know in the comment section below. We'll try and get that done for you in the final review. If you like the video, guys, don't forget to smash the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not already a part of Team iGyaan. hit the bell notification icon to get notified each time we upload a video. This has been Bharat. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.